What's going on, you guys? Just wanted to give you a quick video. I'm gonna just give you my opinion on this whole pay-per-view thing, right? I see it's kind of the topic of discussion for this week, being that Golovkin and Jacobs fought last week, okay? And the numbers have came out, about 150K, 130, 150K. And I'm not surprised by those numbers. I mean, I knew they're not gonna hit 200, all right? Unless you're Canelo, and Canelo's not pulling in that much. Canelo's pulling in about double of that. He's averaging about 300K. I think he's been getting 300K with even before, or ever since he fought Floyd. All right, he usually averages around that much, except when he fought Miguel Cotto. I knew that fight was going to be a big fight, for many reasons. But listen, the way I look at it, like now. There's plenty of reasons why pay-per-view, I don't have to go too much into why pay-per-view is failing. And when I say failing, I mean, it's never going to be what it was. Okay, those days are done. Floyd and Pacquiao was the last hurrah. And then you had Cotto and Canelo, which was, a fading pay-per-view star versus the new pay-per-view star. Okay, but the new pay-per-view star, outside of fighting Floyd, which is Canelo Alvarez, outside of him fighting Floyd, he's never going to really get those numbers that the other boxers got. Not saying he's any less famous, Canelo Alvarez is very famous. It's that he's coming in at a time where the pay-per-views, the buys, they're not there. It's too easy to stream the fights, okay? You have the fight broadcasting on HBO. Well, if you're subscribed, I don't want to say free, but if you're subscribed to HBO, you're gonna see the fight in the following week, okay? And you have competition now. You do have free boxing on the PBC, and every single fight, every single big fight, like the Thurman and Garcia fight, people are starting to know about it now. And I'm going to tell you because people are asking me, it was my dad's birthday a couple weeks ago. And I'm up there. We do a big surprise party for him. And I ran into all my uncles. We all just talking. They all know that I'm into boxing. So they always ask me, yo, what's that? What's up with the free boxing on TV? Like, I saw that fight the other day. It was a good fight. What's all that about? And they're not the first that ask me about the PBC, and I also, of course, I explained like, look, it's free TV now. Like, we're getting big main event fights, title fights on free television, and I broke it all down to them. So now you have competition. Your HBO's only competition is not Showtime anymore. And then you had the free. Before it was free when it was on NBC or ESPN. Not really people were into it. People weren't really. It wasn't really on. The CBSs, the NBCs, it wasn't on the main channels. So you have competition now. So pay-per-view is just not going to be what it is. But people are taking the numbers, right? These poor numbers, because the numbers are poor. And they're like, look, this way doesn't work anymore. This pay-per-view thing doesn't work. I think the people in HBO and the promoters and all of the fighters and everybody's aware of that, okay? I think they're aware that they're not going to make good pay-per-view numbers. They were aware of it when they made Postal and Crawford pay-per-view, because we were all like, why is this fight even pay-per-view? This guy is going to sell horribly. And he did. But we knew that. And they knew that because that's what they do. They know that it's going to be a failure. But the reason why I think they still do it is because they're going to broadcast a fight a week later anyway, and people are going to watch it when it's broadcasted again, because there are certain people that don't go online looking for a link to the fight. They're not looking to stream it, and there's not people on here looking for low quality YouTube versions of the fight. They're not doing that. Some people actually wait until the next week. There's a lot of people that still do that. So they know that these fights, these pay-per-views are going to sell poor. Andre Ward against Sergey Kovalev was a pound for pound the best fight that you can have in boxing to me. Because you have two of the most elite of all the elite fighters in the ring together. You know, and the numbers should have been, that's $1 million, pay-per-view buy quality fight. But you're not getting that. I don't remember what they sold, maybe 200,000 or something. But you're not going to get, they know before the event that it's not going to sell a lot. They know it, but they still keep having them. They're still going to keep doing them. You know why? Because it's just bonus money you're going to get on top of the regular broadcasting on the HBO for the subscribers the following week. It's a bonus. Now, obviously, if the views the following week is not going to be as high as if it was shown the night of the actual fight live, not being a pay-per-view. It's not going to show as much. You're going to lose some views because people know the outcome. People seen the fight already. People searched it online or they streamed it. The views are not going to be as high. But they're still looking at it. All right, well, listen, at least if we could get 150,000 people to still pay for this pay-per-view, that's still bonus money compared to just showing it broadcasted just to HBO subscribers. Because at the end of the day, HBO, you got to look at HBO. Well, Showtime is, working with the PPC, so that's a little different. But when I'm saying HBO, Showtime, all these premium channels, they're only going to get views from the subscribers. So now, at least with the pay-per-view, you get pay-per-view money, and then you're going to get your subscriber money the following week. So that's still more money than what they would get for showing it to their subscribers alone. This is why they're going to keep doing it. This is why when Golovkin-Saunders happened, right, they're probably going to pay-per-view that fight again. Because it's a unification match. Regardless of the poor sales, if they can get another 150K out of Golovkin, they're still looking at it like, listen, this is I feel this way. I think this because if you're gonna make Postal and Crawford a pay-per-view, knowing that that's gonna fail, and it did exactly what we all thought it was gonna do. If you're willing to make that a pay-per-view, not saying it's not a pay-per-view quality fight because it is a unification match, but we all know Crawford is not that big of a superstar. We think pay-per-view, we think superstar because in the history of boxing in the past, when there was a pay-per-view, it was because a superstar was fighting. Crawford, to me, even though he's a star, even though he's pound for pound, he's not a superstar yet. And here in America, I still think there's more people that probably know about Adrian Broner than there is Terrence Crawford or Danny Garcia. I think more people know about Danny Garcia than Terrence Crawford, even though we know Crawford is a pound-for-pound fighter, one of the best in the world. We know those other two guys because they're just a little bit more famous, So I don't think it's going to stop because right now, HBO, they're in trouble. The views are going down, the pay-per-views are going down. Okay, the amount of fights, we almost every Saturday, we had boxing on HBO. Now there's long gaps, sometimes 2-3 months without any HBO boxing. It's on a decline. It's definitely on a decline, But they got to do what they can at this point because PBC, it's been 3 years now. They started in 2015, 2016. Now we got 2017. And yeah, there were some good fights where you got some good views. But a lot of it, the views weren't that great. But it didn't matter because they're still putting on the fights. In the world, the word is getting out there now. Like people are just realizing like, oh shit, we're getting good fights on TV. Guys that stop following boxing like that, they're turning into channels and they're looking like, oh snap, yo, there's free fights on TV, and this is a championship fight. Oh, that's how it's working. And in the long run, if PBC continues doing what they're doing right now, in the long run, they're gonna win because there's people that's not subscribing to boxing. Listen, nah, I was about to say something kind of personal. I don't want to, but yo, there's people that are not subscribing no more because you got to also look at it too. There's people that doesn't want to pay for cable anymore. Everybody's got those Fire Sticks now. You got Apple TV. You got what's it called? You got all these. You got all these live. You know what I'm talking about. The things. I know I sound crazy right now, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, there's all these kind of ways to watch whatever you want to watch without actually paying for it. Okay, so now that these Fire Sticks are out and everybody and their mother got one, all right, my cousins, my sisters, my mom got one. Like it's crazy. It's wild. Everybody got them. So people are not willing to pay for cable anymore. And the people that are paying, they're paying for the regular basic cable. They don't want to pay for premium channels. You know? And guess what you get on basic cable? PBC. So in the long run, they're going to win. And if boxing continues to improve and you get more fans of the sport to come in and watch it because it's on free television, all right? I'm talking about years down the line. 3, 4, 5 years from now, people are still going to tune in because it's on free cable, right? And then the HBOs, and the Showtimes, they're not gonna exist when it comes to boxing because they're on a decline now and they're gonna keep declining. At some point they're gonna be stars that's coming in like Shakur Stevenson. But what if he ends up being really talented? He's not gonna be hitting the 100Ks. At some point, the 100Ks, you're not even gonna get that for the next generation stars. You're not gonna even get that. Terrence Crawford didn't get it. So, with all that being said, that's how I feel about the pay-per-view. They're gonna keep doing it because they're trying to scrape up whatever little bit of money they can get. Any bonus money they can get, they're gonna keep scraping it up. I hope the PPC is really doing well because I remember there was some rumors about it failing and being in this crazy amount of debt, and that they were going to end it because of the viewers weren't matching up. So I hope that's not true. I hope it continues to do well as far as views and stuff because if it does continue and it brings boxing back, later down the line they can make big fights. Major fights between the two most famous fighters. Maybe they're not going to do it with Canelo because Canelo's not with them. But maybe the next boxer that gets as big as Canelo, hopefully PBC has one of these guys that's brewing now, whether it's Errol Spence, whether it's a Thurman, whether it's whoever, Deontay Wilder. Hopefully down the line that they can do fights where they get 10 million viewers. It's never going to be on a Super Bowl level, but hopefully it gets to a point where we get fresh, brand new commercials and they're paying all this money to get a spot. They're scrambling to get a spot to show commercials on PBC. But I think if that happens, that's going to be years down the line. But I think their blueprint is right. I mean, I think that what they're doing is great. But the HBOs it's going to keep dying because no one is paying for those fights no more. No one is paying for those fights. And I brought a lot of this up last year about Golovkin and being a fan of Golovkin, me being a fan, flying out to see his fights, going to his fights live, paying money to see his fights, paying for the pay-per-views. Him, Floyd's, the Pacquiao's, the Crawfords, pay for these guys to watch their fights. I pay for everybody at some point. Cotto, Canelo, at some point I paid for all of these guys. Either going to the fight live, And this is why the fans that get on here and argue and all that, this is why they need to start supporting if they really are fans. You know, if you really are fans. But it's not going to really matter anyway. It's not going to matter. At some point, it's not really not going to matter. Even if the fans got together to pay for it, because it's a failing, it's an old school way of doing things. Things are new now. Things are out there, free, they're easy to get. You know, it's easy to access these fights without paying. You know, so even if everybody did support, they're not going to get the money that we consider to be successful. You know, because we're looking from the Tysons and the Oscar De La Hoyas and the Floyd Mayweathers, all those guys that did pay-per-view numbers, big ones, they're not going to get it, you know. Now in the UK, I can't elaborate on the UK, you know, because, you know, I really don't know. And no, I know Anthony Joshua is hitting the numbers hard. I know he's making a lot of money. You know, so the UK, I can't touch on that because I'm not from out there. And they view boxing on a whole different level than we do over here now. All right, so I can't really touch on that. So if it's working out there, it might keep working out there. You know, but maybe at some point they might be charging them out there. But yeah, we might get, maybe sometime down the line we'll get an Anthony Joshua fight on the PBC if he makes it that big. You know, I don't know. Just my opinion on the whole pay-per-view thing. You know, let me know what you guys think. All right, in the comments. I wish I was trying to give you some good examples because of the whole showing a fight next week. Okay, there are fights that were pay-per-view, did okay with the numbers, or didn't do that well, but still the following week they still had a lot of views, or what they consider to be a lot of views. It was still successful the following week. And sometimes they will show a new fight and show the previous week fight. You know, I think they did that with Pacquiao and I forgot who they've. You guys know what I mean, though. There will be some big fights as pay-per-view, and the following week there'll be another fight, a fresh fight, and they'll show the previous pay-per-view, and they go right into the fight of the night, and that helps the views as well for that new fight, because now you're getting two fights there for the people that didn't see the fight or want to watch it again. All right, gearing up to that new fight. You know, we all know we talk, we watch boxing, so we all know how it is. All right, but it's definitely, pay-per-view is definitely failing. But with that being said, they're still gonna keep doing it because they need a way to make up for that money they're losing because they don't have that many subscribers, you know, or the subscribers are not going up. Yes, HBO is more than Showtime, but they're not increasing like they would back in the day because people don't want to pay for cable. They don't. All right. So anyway, that's it. Talked to you long enough. I wanted to make it quick. Now we 18 minutes in. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.